And we are live. Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for joining. My name is Kemi, and I'm a Nigerian who is living in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And I share tips about living in Canada, lifestyle videos, and of course, once in a while, tips about how to settle in as a newcomer in Canada. And today, I have with me, mostly people ask me a lot of questions. People want to know you know, how is it living in Canada, tips about even how to immigrate to Canada. And usually I give them tips based on my own experiences, based on friends' experiences, based on what I've heard. But today I'll be having an immigration consultant to answer most of the frequently asked questions. Yes, because there's always one question or the other that people ask. So I think I have our guest already. I'm just going to add him now to the stream. Hello, sir. Welcome. We are live. Good
Hello.
morning.
Good good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. It's good to finally see your face.
It's the same here.
Yes, so hello guys. Like I've introduced, I have with me today an immigration consultant. If you're going to be joining live, yes, you get to ask questions live here. And also, if you're watching the replay, well, I guess I think I gave good notice so we can get to ask our questions. So while we wait for people to join live, I think because this is going to be online, it's going to be on YouTube, so people can get to see the recorded version of it that has been uploaded on YouTube. So I believe I should just let you introduce yourself, sir. Please introduce yourself before we get into the matter of today.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Fio Tongwe, as you can see there. I'm a Nigerian Canadian immigration consultant based here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's my pleasure to be here today because I know your program is all about to help people, especially people from our own base. And I will be here to speak on subject matter and my own understanding. Maybe my personal experience that also could help answer some of the people questions. And it's my pleasure to be here to be with you now.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, let me add that Mr. Please correct me, Mr. Tongwe. I think Tongwe is easy to pronounce.
Yeah, Tonwe is my last name, but my first name is Fiogo. Fiogo.
Okay. 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 Yes. Are you Nigerian?
Yes, I'm Nigerian. I'm
Oh, from which state, sir?
from Delta State, Warri specific.
Ah, okay. I'm sure some of your Delta people will be coming to the comment section. Ah, hi, hi, hi. Okay, so is Mr. Towe of Centerpiece Immigration. And like he said, he's here in Winnipeg with us. So I know a lot of people want to come to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Winnipeg. I know that's where most people want to come to. So that even means that you're going to have a lot of experience also in people immigrating to Winnipeg. So, thank you, sir. Please don't forget to like this as you watch. Okay, that's very important. The more you like it, the more it is distributed to people. Drop a comment if you have any question. Drop in the comment section. We'll get to them later. Okay, and then as it goes, subscribe if you're yet to. So let's start with the question, sir. And the first question I want to ask. So, because usually people ask me and they want to have contact of an immigration consultant. And I always put a caveat in my email whenever I want to send them the contact. I tell them, please do your due diligence. Just to be sure that the person is certified and all of that. So the very first question I want to ask you, sir, is that how can we tell and when an immigration consultant is certified or is authorized by the government of Canada?
Thank you for that question because that's one of the way I like to start any program I am.
Mhm.
Like I said, we've seen a lot of victims in the industry, especially from our own part of the country, Nigeria. And
Mm,
one of the things we try to do here is to create that awareness. There's little or much we can do about that, but to create that awareness and now I've been involved in that. We have a group here called the Nigerian Canadian Immigration Consultant. We have a group where we want to let our people know the reality, and they can have a choice, so that if you choose to go with what we call the ghost consultant in quotes, and whatever happens to you, then
Mhm.
it's your choice. So to your question, how do we find out? It's very, very clear, easy to find out. First of all, like we all know, every immigration consultant is licensed, and they have their own license number.
Okay.
My own, for example, my license number is 705 918. Seven zero
Mm.
five nine one eight. That's my license number. Now,
Okay.
every consultant is identified with unique
Mm.
identities. One is your name, which is your name.
Mm.
My name is Fio Otowe, for example. The other is your company. You must have a company. Mine is Centerpiece Immigration Consultant Service, Immigration services. Then the last one is your registration number. Now,
Mm.
how do you know? If you see them, how do you now know that this is a certified? It's very easy. Just go on to Google. Google is our friend. Put in there and type that licensed immigration consultant in Canada. Just
Mm.
broad search. Otherwise, we have what they call the immigration college. If you
Mm.
type the Immigration College of Canada, you will see the
Mm.
portal. It will show you everything. Then how do
Oh.
you have a license? Even if you go to Canada website as well, you will see that how do you get a license. So if you go to that place and you see the link and say you see the search for a licensed consultant, you can search with each of those parameters I told you, either your first name, your last name, your company number, or your registration or your
Mm.
license number. Once you put the number there and search it, the name of the person will come out. It will tell you the status of the person, whether it is active, whether it is suspended, whether it is
Mm.
it's no longer working again, that kind of stuff. You will see the status of that person. And of
Wow.
course, you want to go with concerns that are active. It will tell you the location. So that is one way to
Wow.
know a license, a consultant is licensed. Then in addition to that, in the course of the service, you will also know that someone is licensed. Before anybody can represent you, which is part of the question you are asking me, commonly made mistake from people
Mm.
can represent you. There is a government from the website of Canada, which is part of the whole package. It's called the use of representative.
Yeah.
The code of that form is IMM 5476. So that's
Mm.
the use of representative form. Because when you are filling your form, is there they will ask you, do you want to use a consultant or use a representative? In fact, the word is, do you want to use a representative?
Yes. Yes.
A
Mhm.
representative may not likely be a consultant. A representative might be somebody who is doing it pro bono. The person is not charging you. Maybe it's like he's been here, he knows it. The difference between the consultant and the person who does it as a pro bono, which his name implies, will be for service, will be for charge. So whoever is not a licensed consultant cannot charge you. If he charges you, that is an infringement. So it's only a registered licensed consultant that can do that for fee. So
Mm.
the first thing you want to do, that person, whoever is working with you, must fill that form for you, authorizing the person to represent you, because whatever the person says is binding with you, whether it is wrong or whatever is it must be it's applicable to you. So if the person is writing a submission on your behalf, when they are considering your application, they will consider all the documents you submitted and also the submission that the person made on your behalf. So that is number one. Then number two, whoever is representing you, if it's charging you for a fee, must provide you a contract letter. You must have a contract where the person will detail that, "Look, this is the kind of service I want to provide for you. These are my responsibility in the service, and these are your responsibility." And importantly, provide details of the immigration college, such
Ah.
that if the person fails, we have what we call the code of conduct. If the
Mm.
person fails to live by the code of conduct, you have the right to report that person to the immigration college if the person is not treating you properly. Let me know. I
Mm.
can speak from now till this. Let me know where my
Okay, okay, okay. I think we got the message there, sir. Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Tony.
yeah.
So wait, we got the message that if you want someone to represent you or you want to contact an immigration consultant, be sure that the person has the license number, like you said, or the person's registered. It's there on the Government of Canada website. Type in the person's information. If it doesn't, and then it shows the person's status, whether it's active or suspended or bad, So that is how you can do your own due diligence. So that having cleared, now that we have cleared that you're a certified consultant, and now I am free to allow my subscribers to know that they can contact you for their numerous immigration services. Oh, so let's go on, sir, to the questions, specific questions now. I think we already answered one of the common mistakes that people usually make when it comes to immigrating to Canada, when it comes to choosing a consultant, falling to the hands of scammers and all of that. Now, before we go on, I wanted to say, what are some of the common mistakes that people make in their applications that makes them throw their applications out and say, oh, they are not giving me permanent resident, or they are not giving me international student visa?
Yeah. One of the mistakes people make, like I said, is starting with the person you are talking to.
Mm,
And one of the ways you know the ghost consultant is they have like a template. All they are concerned about is fill a form. What do you want in this form?
mm,
They just fill that form. So back again to that. If you allow whoever is representing you to use your profile, because every consultant they can use, they have what you call the portal, the consultant portal, approved portal.
mm,
That's where they submit all their client through application through. But most time when you give your name, your details to somebody to use your profile without signing that use of rep, of course, whatever the person says, like I said, is binding. And now, most time, I can give you an example where people that have been, denied before. I want to start from the very grievous mistake
okay.
people that have been denied visa to somewhere before, maybe to somewhere in Europe, like UK, maybe like America. To them, they think that if they hide that refusal, that decision, it
Mm-hmm.
will make them look good in the hand of the Canada immigration.
Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you short. I know you have the floor now because I remembered some people complaining then. So maybe they've been denied visa to some other countries, and then they ask them in their Canada application, and then they lie, or they try to cover it up. They don't know that everything is gonna come back open at the end of the day. Please go on, sir. Thank you. I
Yeah.
just
So yeah. So when you do that, and you think when you don't disclose it,
mm,
and the officer gets to know because they will find out. Once they
mm,
get to know, the penalty for that is 5 years. They will buy you
bam.
for 5 years. That's what we call misrepresentation. Because what they are saying is that you are hiding a useful information that will guide the officer make his own decision. So,
Mm,
like I tell people, my friend, denial is nothing, it's not anything. In as much as it's something we don't want to have, but it does not, going to stand, it's not anything serious that will stand against you. Because if you look at the comment at the end of every denial, they will tell you that we are denying you for 1, 2, 3 reasons. However, if you are able to address those reasons, you are free to come and apply again. What that
mm,
means is that if, for example, you are traveling, you apply, and as at the time you apply, your fund was not sufficient at that point in time. I mean, the reason for denial is such that, they don't think that you have enough fund, or maybe they don't think that you're going to go back, maybe because you've not actually, explain yourself properly. What you need to do is to state, yes, you'll be denied. They will ask you what was the reason. You just
mm,
state that, oh, as at that point in time, my fund was not enough, but now I have enough fund, and I want
mhm,
the officer will not see first deny as anything. They've known that if people grow, yesterday you may not have money, but today you have money. So what's stopping you from that? So now to the point, if you use a ghost consultant to do that, and you say you've not been denied somewhere before the officer will take a decision, they will send you what we call a procedural fairness letter to explain that you said you've not been denied, but we noticed that at the time you applied to Canada, to US or to UK, you were denied. Now, because you were the one, the officer first submitted the immigration, you submitted yourself, even though you gave your profile to someone to submit for you, the officer will not see anything that you give to anybody because you did not put the use of rep. And
mm,
therefore, you can't say, oh, no, I didn't, I made a mistake, or I didn't know before. But if you have given that use of rep to somebody to do that
Mm,
for you, and that mistake comes up, it can
mm.
be explained that that mistake came from the representative. But
From
that way, the penalty will not be much because they feel that it is the officer, it is the rep that made the mistake, but not you originally. Every
mm,
rep has what we call the insurance company that protect them.
mm,
So if it's going to result in any money, any whatever, the insurance company will be likely to pay for the rep mistake. So that's mistake number one. If you want me to continue again, mistake.
mm. Well, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, thank you. I think I have to be because it's like you enjoy this talk. You just keep, giving us back to back, back to back.
Yeah.
I see that you know what you're doing and you are experienced in this field. So I wanted to just before we continue into some of the other questions, what's like the updates now on? Do we have any updates on immigration to Canada? Is there any updates that people might want to know? Because I know there was a time that generally it's just any update regarding immigration.
Yeah, every point in time, there's what we call the policy guideline. Maybe after the minister, that the executive arm of government, they come up with different updates. But one of the burning updates right now is the visitor to work permit. People have heard about that, it's always there. It's not as if it has not been there. It's not as if the process has really changed that much. But what this one is trying to has done is such that if you recall during the COVID, because a lot of visitors were trapped in Canada, they couldn't go back. So the government felt that, you know what, why would they be here? Because if you come on a visiting visa, of course you can't work, you can't apply for work. So what
Mm,
that is, instead of me being here, Canada need people to work for them, but there are some pool of people who could work, but they are high though. That was how the government came with that policy. Okay, we are coming with this policy that if you are a visitor in Canada and you are able to secure a job
the job.
through what
Wow.
they call the LMIA, it depends. There are some jobs that are LMIA exempt. There are some
Mm,
that you get to go to the LMIA. I will explain that later. What it is, then you are allowed to not look for, if you get that job, you're allowed to apply for work permit and work. So that policy was supposed to end at the end of February this year, 28th of February 2023. So
mm.
what the government has just done is to extend that again, to say, you know what,
Wow.
that policy, I think it has helped them a lot in terms of the labor shortage, and they say we're extending for another 2 years. So what that means is that if a lot of people have met me, for instance, if you have a Canadian visa,
Mm.
and you, of course, when you come to Canada, I know getting job might be difficult, but it's easier when you are here and inside than when you are outside. So if
Yes.
you're able to get a job, especially when you go to the rural area, people that look for a job and all that, then as a visitor, you can work. So that's one of the key updates. And to quickly add, it's about the study permit as well. Before now, study permit, you could only work for 20 hours as a student,
Mm.
except you are working inside the campus. That's when you can work as a full time. But again, this isn't new. But what I want to clarify is that people are missing it. So what the government, said about that was that if you were a student or you have submitted the application for study permit and the government received the application on or before 7th of October 2022, you are qualified to work full time, whether on campus or outside of campus.
Mm.
But if you submitted yours after this date I just quoted, sorry, you are not qualified to work full time. You go back to work as a student, your 20 hours per week.
Yes.
So that is the other thing I want to clarify because people were missing that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, sir. So on to the next one, sir. I wanted to ask. So I know this one can be very. Now, the reason why I'm asking is that we keep hearing different routes through which people come to Canada. So I wanted to ask, can you maybe just list out the different routes? I think there's a lot of them. Recently, I heard about a rural immigration pathway where people can go to those very rural areas where they need more people. So can you just quickly list out some of those ways through which people can come to Canada, immigrate to
Well,
Canada?
the ways to come to Canada, even myself, I can't exhaust all of them. They are
Yes,
endless.
there's too much of them.
Yeah. So, but what I can categorize them is we have through this student route, we have
Mhm,
through the economic route, we
mhm,
have through the entrepreneurial route. So
mm,
in an attempt to break this down. So through the economic route is what we call the express entry. It is what we
Mm.
call, especially even this your rural area you talk about. Even then we have the sponsorship route as well. Maybe you have somebody here, you want to sponsor your couple, or there's a child care route as well. Those who want to take care of people and all that. But to your point of the rural immigration, especially if you are in, like both of us were
Winnipeg.
in Manitoba, you hear
Mm.
a pathway they call the strategic immigration stream. So that has to do with that. What it means is that if you're able to get employer and employer can sponsor you, then to say you have a work permit outside, you are still in your country, you are able to get employer. Then employer say, okay, I need this skill. The employer will not give you employment letter. Based on that, they cannot use that to apply for work permits. So that's
Mm.
exactly what the part of the rural is all about. So
Yeah.
again, to be clear about the rural is that because when people come, they reside in the cities, in the big cities, in Winnipeg, for instance, in Brandon, for instance, in Vancouver, in Toronto. So they don't know that there are some places they call Winkler, there are places they call Mondem, there are places they call
Mhm.
especially in Canada. But businesses are there. So because most of the job there, the people there don't want to work, they don't want to do it. And they
Mm.
also need people there in order to attract people from the main city to those rural areas. That's why they give them more points. And at the same time, there is a stream where the employers in that place, those who have business in that place, they submit to the government to say, look, we need this set of people. Then they work with the province to select the kind of people they want. Then once they get the employment, they give them employment. Then the province will not process their application for them. So that's exactly what we call the rural immigration.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
So just following up on that, the most difficult thing, I know when I talk to people about, or when people ask about Atlantic immigration and all of that, the biggest challenge for people is getting a job outside Canada. Like if you are not in Canada, it's not always that easy to get a job.
That's
But
correct.
it's good now that you said that if you target those rural areas, because those ones also need people. Because I think I've met one of my subscribers who said they came through one of those pathways and they are in those rural areas because they need people to come into them. They know people don't want to leave Winnipeg to come into those places, so they give people more points. Thank you for highlighting that. But in your opinion, sir, which one would you think is the easiest pathway to come to
No,
Canada? You
no,
said,
no, good, no, good question. Again, it depends on either the family composition or the individual. Maybe to back up a bit, when Canada say they need people, it's not because they are doing us a favor. They need
mm,
the people to solve their own economic need in the future.
yes, to
Canada
work.
foresaw that in 10 years to come, there are some set of people we call the baby boomers, those that were born in the 60s. They are retiring. But
Mm,
unfortunately, because of the lifestyle here, most of them don't have kids. Even the kids they
mhm,
have, they don't want to, for their own reasons, they don't want to get married. So they have that shortage of labor, so to speak. So that's
mm,
why they put it all for people to come. So now it's not open for every Dick and Harry. So they are targeting young people who will come, who will work and pay taxes to them to be able to solve their problem. So if you say you want to come, for instance, and your age is above 30 and you don't have like the masters and you don't have a long work experience, then you will stay long in the pool, in the express entry pool that most people know about. So when you
mm,
ask me what is the easiest way, especially for people that are not young any longer, if you don't have somebody who can sponsor you, like married or couple, you don't have your a partner here who can sponsor you, and you don't have employment, which is through the job that can sponsor you, and you want to take it over for yourself, the best route will be through education, through school. Now, the
mm,
reason for that is this: education does not have age limit to some extent. So
mm,
once you are able to establish the reason why you are coming to do the program, and you have the resources to fund your education, and you're able to establish that after the program you will go back. I tell people, if you go through the education part, you have all of this within 6 months, you are in Canada. Because what does it take? It takes you getting acceptance letter, which is admission letter. Then use the admission letter to apply for study permit. I've
mm,
done study permit in some cases, it varies. They tell you the average processing time is maybe currently like 12 weeks. We've seen cases where within 2 weeks, We've seen applications that are approved within 2 weeks, just as we have seen some that take 6 months as well to get approval. So what I mean is that in this case, you control the narrative. What is the narrative? Get admission, apply for study permit, average of 6 weeks, less than sorry, average of
6 months.
12, yeah, let's say 6 months, between 1 to 6 months. You are in Canada.
Mm, mm,
For
mm.
me, that is the kind of the quickest way that you have
Wait.
control over. Because if you submit to the into the pool, you don't have much control. Because especially if your points are not as high, are not competitive, you wait
Mm,
until the government begin to reduce the point till you get to where you are, where they can pick you. If you don't have relative in the rural, in most of the provinces that do provincial nominee, what can you do about that? You don't have relative. Your friends, you may have a friend, but your friends' score may not be competitive enough to say you through. So if you want
mm.
to come your narrative as an individual, school is the best way to come. That would
You
be my
just need to have the money for school fees because that money is not smiling. No, that school fees. I've spoken to a student who came as an international student for even a PhD, and the amount she showed us, hey,
PhD.
it's not here.
PhD is even cheap because if you are doing academic program, it's cheap. Myself, I came as an international student. And
Oh,
yeah, so I came an international student 8 years ago. And I mean, my program was generally expensive. I came to do an MBA program, which is in the business.
okay.
So as at that time, it was high. Only tuition fee was about $45,000. So that was more. This was 8 years ago. But that
Wow.
said, there are some other. That's why you need to meet most people who understand on the field. Because when I see people, some program you chose is just wasting your time. How do you
Mm,
get somebody who has graduated from Nigeria, for example? You've had your first degree because you are coming to Canada. You go back again and start from 100 level. It's just wasting your time. It's just wasting your time.
yes, yes,
So there are
yes.
some programs that can maximum 2 years you are done. So you spend less and also spend less time. So you are more
Mm,
efficient. Because
mm.
if you meet most people who are like agents, they are looking for admission for you. What they are looking at is the school that will give them the commission when you come. They don't care about your own welfare. Oh, when I come, I don't need to go and start do 4 years. No, they just can give you to school. Say you want admit, they give you admission, and
Mm.
when they give you admission, they pay them commission. But you are left now how to battle, how to
How to pay.
yeah,
Mm.
that is
Thank you so
yeah.
much for this insight. So, guys, I recommend Mr. Tonwe. One, he knows this thing he's talking about. So, if you would like to, if you need the services, please contact him. So, I have a follow up question, sir, or I have a question. Can you talk about people coming through, especially people who are the very specific pathway, like social workers, doctors, nurses, those kind of like health jobs, those in-demand jobs? Because we've always heard, or we've always heard that, oh, they need nurses, they need doctors, they need this kind of workers. How is it with people coming through that pathway to Canada?
Yeah. So the good thing about doctor, for instance, first of all, if you are a medical student, you are a doctor. Into Canada, when they assess your qualification, you are a master's degree level. Doctors, lawyer, architect, you are master's degree holder. So the first thing about doctor is that doctor accreditation is not done through the West that we normally done. That's not the starting point for doctors.
Oh,
So that's not the starting point for doctors. So doctors are accredited through their professional body.
body.
It
Okay.
once the professional body has accredited you, now the professional body will now be the one to even go and accredit you through West. So for purpose of that, if you want to come here and as a licensed doctor and all that. So yes, before now things keep changing. Before now it was easier. Most times if you're a doctor, a lot of provinces who have shortages of doctor will even sponsor you to say, okay, come over. Once you are there, of course, one thing is key here. You can't be a doctor in outside Canada and just come and think you'll practice immediately. No, you must go through their school, through their professional body, go through the processes and be sure you are okay. You pass all the external exam, then before you can begin to practice as a doctor. So some provinces normally take them like more like a backup. You are not practicing exactly, but you are assisting and all that. Then they will give you the room to go and certify and all that. So to your point right now, yeah, there are it's part of in demand. What that means is that there are different provinces that are looking for nurses. Most time they don't really target doctor that much because of the time period it will take for them to come get certified, people that are looking for you, they are quick. They don't want somebody who will come and stay here and spend another 2, 3 years before they can begin to practice. They want somebody who can just come hit the ground running.
Start to
Yeah.
work.
So that's why, yeah, nurses, once you come, the process, yes, you go through the process, but not as rigorous as those that are doctor.
Medical doctors.
Another way again, that doesn't mean if you're a doctor, there are different field of medicine you practice. You may not be the one that maybe attend to patient directly, but you might be maybe an administrator, for instance. So if you're an administrator, of course, you can get yourself accredited, look at all the provinces, look at the kind of people they are looking for. A doctor can do some other feed, more of administrative feed. I don't know how you call those roles, but once you, based on what you do, if you look at what they are looking for, and even as a doctor, you can do that role. Of course, you apply for it, and then if you are in demand, therefore means they will select you first before they look at, or you are the one that they will be considered. So that is one of the ways they can easily come in as well. Then there are a lot of other bodies that are hiring nurses or healthcare aid or those in that field. Just look at exactly what they are looking for, and if you have it, get your credential, get your certificate accredited, then submit. Again, don't think some. I've seen some people who just they can look at the internet, look what they apply themselves and they are selected. There's a pool where you go there, they look at what you have done, your experience. You will be surprised that you receive an email saying that we're interested in you, and they take you through.
So
So
where would that be? Would that be the skilled worker pathway, or they should just apply for jobs or
no,
the work permit?
no, it's the skill. All of the see the skill. When you go to each of the provinces, they classify that international skill, right? You are a skill already. So under the international skill, again, you will check it. You will see the different, especially the rural area or people that they say submit. Like your North Atlantic, you normally talk about. Those are, let me quickly talk on that. Those are those four provinces that make up that North Atlantic, which is Nova Scotia, Prince Edward, um,
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland and all that. So it's the same thing they talk about. So those area people don't before now people don't know much about that, and they need a lot of people. So if you go there, a lot of that they do what we call information section. So once you've gotten your your West, and you've accredited your what do you call it now, your West, and you have English,
IELTS, yeah.
IELTS, and you go there. Some of I've seen people that were taking some through the section. Okay, you have all the things to for them to process you. They hire you straight on those sections, and they send you to the federal government to process your
Yes.
permanent
Let
residence.
me also add, thank you so much, sir. Let me also add that people are always looking at provinces like Manitoba. People want to go to Toronto. People want to go to Alberta. But they are, I said Manitoba. Canada has so much more provinces. Like he said, the Atlantic immigration, those four provinces need people. That's why they have this Atlantic immigration pathway and all of that. So try to look at other places in Canada. It's not just Brandon, it's not just Winnipeg, it's not just Ontario or Alberta or those common names. Oh no, I
Even
want to go to
even the territories. I've seen somebody who went to Yukon. Those not territories, for instance, they had a program, specific program where they say LMA exempt program. They were looking for people to work in hotel. So they had that. People could do it. They just employed them straight away through this visitor to work permit. People are there. I have a lot some client there.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Like I said, sir, I know so many people will getting across to me to get your contact. I'll just be sending them directly to you because I've removed my hand from answering any immigration questions because I'm not the expert here. That's why I brought you on the call. So thank you. I have a question, sir. Someone said, what about business/tourist visa? Is there a pathway to come to Canada? It said business/tourist visa. I think maybe it's more specific to Quebec. It's Quebec. I know Quebec has its own very
Yes, yes. I'm not an
Quebec
I
is,
I don't have license to practice in Quebec.
guys, Quebec
Yes,
is a
yes,
very special province. Like
yeah,
they do their own things. It's like a French. I think it's exclusively French. So
yeah.
they have their own, in fact, immigration. This thing. Even me, I don't know anything about. The only thing about I know about Quebec is that was my port of entry. before coming to Winnipeg. But I know that Quebec has its own very specific. So if you need information on Quebec, you most likely need to get an immigration consultant in Quebec, as it is. So I think I've answered that. So sir, if you have anyone in Quebec, you can please share with us so I can also share with others. I'll
That's
just start.
hmm.
Okay, go on, sir.
No, that's true. If you go, like I said, it's easy. Go to those, go to immigration college, look at the list of immigration consultants. You will see different area where they practice. So go to Quebec, those in Quebec, and search. You will see those are in Quebec. Some of
Thank
us might see Nigerian there. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, all right, great. Thank you so much, sir. I'm just picking. So I put out a post and told people to ask questions. So I'm just gonna start to pull out those questions one by one to ask you. So you can answer those for us. Thank you so much, sir. Someone said, please can a friend who has a PR for more than a year nominate a family in the PNP route?
Correct. Yes. They can nominate you, but um, you know, immigration in Canada, like I tell people, it gets stiffer, tougher, tougher every year. It's
Mm,
simple. It's just a simple law of demand and supply. So before now, friends we really could nominate you, and they
mm,
can still nominate you. But the thing there is that the score that friend will give to you, which is I think 50 points, is different from the one that um, a relative will give to you. So friend can
mm,
nominate you, but the score is very low. Just one
mm.
moment. Let me get my charger. I think my battery
Oh,
my
your battery. All
yeah.
right. Go on, sir. Thank you.
Can go on with that.
Yes, I think you guys have been hearing that. So I have another question here, which you already answered. Someone is asking that can one enter Canada via the visitor's visa and later change to work permit? Yes, you can. So that's what he just explained. That's one of the new things that has been introduced now. You can come as a visitor, and then if you're able to get a job, you have to get a job first. If you're able to get a job, yes, you get a work permit, and then after a few years, when you're eligible, you can also apply for PR. So that's another way. Someone is asking, I currently work for a company in Canada, but I'm in Nigeria. Okay, it's gonna answer your question shortly. I'll just go on to the next question. Let me see if I can answer it myself. Um, Okay, I'm just gonna wait for him to. So while we're waiting, please don't forget to subscribe if you're yet to do that. Like this video, drop your question so we can get to it. Although we this is not gonna go for a very long time. We want to cap this up or round it up by 12. I know Mr. We can continue talking as long as we are online, but no, we have to be mindful of time. Someone said I currently work for a company in Canada, but I am in Nigeria. Please, what is my starting point? Well, you have, please treat this question, sir. Let me know answer the question.
You currently work for a
My
Canadian
company,
company.
yes, but he's in Nigeria.
Yeah. So what is his question?
So how can he come to Canada?
So now the question is the company you are working for was the contract for you to work outside, because if you have an employment, what the rule says is that if you have an employment letter from a Canadian company,
Company.
you can use that. The Canadian company is based here in Canada. You can use that to apply for work permit. So it's as simple as that.
Yes, I think that's like a Canadian experience thing. I think I've seen it somewhere. So Isaiah Kingsley, you currently work for a company, you have an offer letter, you're valid. Please go ahead and apply. I think you can use that to apply, or talk to them, let them know that you want to come into Canada. They might even be able to, if you are doing well, you're someone that's been, I know they do well on experience, people that have been delivering on their job. If you've been doing really well, let them know, let the HR know that you want to start this so process. They can back you up through the LMI or.
Mm.
Um, Someone said, how long does visitor visa this okay, I think how long is the visitor visa for?
Is it the processing time or when
Really,
you?
I don't know. The English is not
Okay,
very clear,
yeah,
but
but
let's
I can explain that.
okay.
Before now, Nigerian passport was for only 5 years, but with the recent increase in the validity of our passport is now 10 years. So what that means that if you are a fresh Nigerian passport holder and you are applying to Canada for the first time, most time they will give you to the validity of your passport. So they could give you 10 years visa. But
Yeah.
that said, once you get the visa, that visa is to enable you to come to the port of Canada. Once you get here, you can only stay for maximum of 6 months on a row. If you have a visiting visa, not a super visa, you have a visiting visa, you can only stay for 6 months. After 6 months, if you're able to get out of Canada and come in again, then it refreshes for another cycle of 6 months. So I don't know if
Okay.
that's the
Yeah,
question.
he
Yeah.
said is the processing time. What's the processing
Yeah,
time
the
for
processing
funds?
time right now, well, again, the processing time is just a guide. Most
Mm.
time, there were some I did, it's not to advertise, but there were some I did last month. I had approval with one was within a month, the other one was within 2 months.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
but right, if you look at the side, the processing time is 300. As last time I checked, it was 388 days. So what that means is that immigration is saying, please don't send us any reminder if we see the
Yes.
processing time for your this is 300. So don't send me once you apply, wait until you hear from them. Because most
Mm,
time what we do is that we don't hear from them, we can send a reminder, say, hey, this is long overdue. I did that over the weekend for some people. Luckily,
mm,
I got approved. Somebody pick it and they approve a visa yesterday, study permit. But you cannot send a reminder until after 388 days. So that's what that
okay.
is. But it doesn't mean that's when they will take some. They could take shorter than,
Mm,
depends on
it
the
can be
office.
shorter than that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
than that. Yeah.
I have another question in the chat box. Now, this CRS core issue, so let me put it out there that CRS core. Okay, let me just say it. So CRS score is the comprehensive ranking score, right? Am I
Correct.
correct?
Yeah.
So usually it's the score that is given to you and is calculated by your education, your experience, your
Age,
IELTS score, and
yeah.
age, everything. So many things brings up to your CRS score. And usually they choose by the cutoff. That is how they apply or they invite people. So someone says, I will be 30 next year and my CRS score is 463. Now, you didn't give us, is for what now? I don't want to start losing points by next year. What do you advise I do to boost my chances? You didn't give us full information. Let us
Yes.
know what's your
But
present
yes, I
score.
understand that. I hear that question all along. If you look at the CRS, there are some you can improve, there are some you cannot do anything about. Your age, you can't do anything about it. That is given. If your qualification is first degree, the only you can do something, but it will take you more time to go and get
Like
another
doing a
one.
master's or a postgraduate. Yes,
Exactly.
yes,
So that
yes.
will take you more time, but we can improve that. Where you can easily improve is your English. If you have not maxed your English, it therefore means you can go and because English it has a way of transforming your mark, especially if it's score very high in especially listening. If you
Mm,
there's a way we just give you some additional mark. So if you can go and improve your English, go and improve your English. Then another way again is that there are two languages in Canada, which is the French and English. Can you? Can you? There are some people I've seen a lot of people who challenge that they went to French school in Nigeria and
mhm.
they're able to write it. Just go and write it. If you write, if you're able, even if it is five you have in it, it gives you some points.
Yeah.
Because you only need only 5 points to brace it. Then to that person, you could be lucky when you are apply to say you want to stay in different provinces. Some
Mm,
provinces, if you are fortunate like now, you are a nurse or you are a doctor like you are talking about. If some people are looking for nurse, they go there and pick some people. I
from
think
the pool, yes.
I think Abata picked some group of people, maybe those in manufacturing or something. They score
Mm,
less than they just if you're able to score above, was it above 400 or above 300? They pick them.
mm.
That's another way you can be picked. But improving your chances simply means look at that score. Do you still have a room for in
So
your
she
house?
answered. She said is federal skilled worker. She has an MBA already.
Mhm.
She has listening and reading 8.0. So, like you said, check your French. Are you? Is it MPMP? Are you trying to do
Then
provincial?
that's another way again. You can go through the if you have anybody through the PMP, PMP is just 600 points. Once you can get it, that will just
Mm,
take you there. Only that. So those are the area you want to go through PMP. The job offer we are talking about, you want to go through that. Those are other area you can improve your
mm.
chances. Yeah.
And then a good thing is that there's nothing limiting you. You can apply. Let me please correct this. Can you apply to, for example, I know I tried it then. I applied to Manitoba. At the same time, I applied to Saskatchewan. Can you apply to multiple provinces, or can you open multiple applications, like apply to different things at the same time?
What I can say to that is that we have what we call dual intent in immigration. You can
Mm,
apply to say you want to come as a permanent resident. Then in between, you can say you want to come as a student. But if you look at that question, if you are applying to Manitoba, if you are truthful in answering your question, you might not be able to apply to other province, because they will tell you that the question says, have you have an application in other province? So if you say yes,
mm,
if he allows you to go, either they are going to take points from you, but they are not looking for somebody who will come here and go to other province. So
yes.
it's that those questions are contradictory. That's
Okay.
I've
Okay.
never experimented it. Was okay. Let me say yes and see what is the next. Most of the applications I've been having or in that is always I don't have another place. You just put it.
Mm.
So that's how I can answer that question.
Okay, someone is asking, well, I don't know about this one. It's the same person who asked about visitor visa, and then he's asking that when he arrives in Canada, how can I apply for asylum? Why do you want to apply for asylum? That's my first question. But please, can you speak to that, sir?
Unfortunately, that is the only area of immigration I don't do. I don't do refugee.
Mm,
So I can't speak on that. But most people use that. They get to US. We read it on the news. We get to US. From there they come here. I'm not one of those who actually encourage that route, because
yes.
the people don't tell you most of the things they go through, through that
Mm,
route. Especially if you are a graduate, you are able to, if there are other routes, other things. I know, like the school might be a difficult route, but people they don't have so much, but they're able to apply. They get to school. I mean, if they have only the school fees paid, if it is feeding and the accommodation, if you are here, of course, you can work to take off all that.
mm,
So, sorry, I'm not. That's an area I don't practice, and I don't have so much knowledge about that, other than what we read on the news. People get
mm.
it and they come and go about that. Because
Yeah.
again, what we hear again is that we are coming here to tell a story, and if that story is not correct, you could be here for several years, 4 or 5 years, and they make a
They
decision
send you back.
to send you back. And
I also there's a lot. Thank you for there's a lot of story out there of people who claim asylum or who claim, and then at the end of the day, their story no longer goes right, or they are not able to keep up with the story, and then they send them back. So what's the point? So if you're able to, follow other routes, if it's not a very legit reason for claiming asylum, I will advise you to go for other ways. Someone said, okay, yes, I'll give his contact. Please just send me an email. My email is going to be in my bio somewhere, or send me a DM on Instagram. I will share with you. Someone already has her hair IELTS, she has her West, and she would like to get your contact. Someone also wants to know if you work on the Atlantic immigration process routes. That is the Atlantic immigration. Someone wants to know if you're able to
yeah,
consult on that too.
yeah, every consult most like I say, almost every consultant they do that, because Atlantic is not that type that will say you must have like their own special license like Quebec. So
Mm,
the only thing I don't do, as far as I can guide you to say, okay, go and submit your this in there. I don't have license for international recruitment, because
mm,
the key thing, the biggest challenge in the Atlantic, even the strategic, is the employment. So
yes.
because I don't have a license to begin to recruit, so I won't know those who are interested in your skill and be able, other than you submit, you express your interest in those areas. I can guide you, can express here, based on your job, based on your skill. If they pick you, of course, any immigration person can guide you through it, and you are there. So yes, I do that, but I must be sincere with you to tell you my limitation. I won't tell you what I cannot do.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that, sir. Someone says my passport doesn't carry my husband's name, and I have a son. So I hope it doesn't affect our immigration process. Changing my passport to my husband's name might take a very long time, though we have a marriage certificate. I
Yeah.
think that's one question I've always heard about people having different names on their passports, and then spouses issue.
It does not, in as much as you have the proof of marriage, or if you're a partner, you live together in a certain period of time, you have shared responsibility like your utility, your rental, or your house, you have a joint name and all that. You're able to prove that you guys are together. Again, you have kids, you don't even need more further proof. Your kid that you have is enough proof to show that you guys are into marriage.
Mm,
So
okay.
we know women at some point they are age will change. Don't bother yourself to go and do it, especially if you have a proof that you are married. That would be okay.
Okay, I think I've picked some of the very important questions that we needed the expertise to answer. But let me touch on this. I think there's one recurring about the NOC and so there are people who, for example, they went to school and studied accounting. You know the condition of Nigeria. At the end of the day, they went to work in marketing or something entirely different. So their experience is in this, their certificate is in a different thing. And you know they will request you to have your references and your reference letter rather. So can you speak about that, sir?
Yes, so the NOC speak about your job, what you do,
Mm,
not necessarily your certificate. Even
mm,
though your certificate will enable you to do the job you do. So what I'm saying is this: you could graduate as an economist or as an I when I was working in Ibadan, for example, in the bank, one of my colleague was a doctor, was a medical doctor. So that colleague cannot come. I haven't worked in the bank for many years, wherever. His NOC will have to do with the bank, what he's doing right now. So he cannot come and say he's a medical doctor when he cannot prove he cannot do that again. So that medical doctor is just a certificate to enable you to
that
do
he
your
has.
job
Mm,
description. NOC is speaking about your job description. And most of those jobs, so NOC that talk about the A, O, or B, for example, is requiring people with certain job that you do. For you to be able to do that, you must be a graduate to be able to do that job. So
mm,
you can read medicine and go and work in the bank. The bank takes you are doing a role. That's why I see most engineers, for instance, that are working in the bank for
yeah.
different roles in treasury. So your NOC speak about your job description, what you are doing right now. So when you are getting a reference, you are getting a reference based on what you are doing. But let
Job.
me quickly, add here that if you are doing Saskatchewan provincial nominee, I know there they will ask you, what is the job you are doing right now? You will say the job. They will ask you, do you have the education in that line? So where the province chose to limit it on their own to that way, that mustn't be perfect. But in general, NOC speak about your job description, what you are doing right now.
Mm,
So right,
mm.
say, do you have first degree to do this job? Do you what only high school to do this job? So that's exactly what NOC talk about. So is your current job description what you can do?
Thank you so much, sir. I think that's one of the major questions I've always had NOC. And so the NOC you should choose is based on your experiences, the experience you have, because the higher your experience, the higher your score again. So not your certificate. Your certificate is not, even when you apply for a job here and you don't have a certificate in that job, the question they start to ask you is how can you relating to your experience, not the certificate you have. Let me even say that your certificate here, I'm sorry to say, but in most cases, they don't even check your certificate. Nobody's checking your certificate. They want to know how you're able to do the job. So your experience is the key. So I forgot something. Okay, I know this one personally. That's why I'm asking on her behalf. So she has applied. They've given her Manitoba provincial nomination, but then she's pregnant. She's about 6, 7 months pregnant. She's hoping that what if they do not give her high TA before she delivers, because if she delivers that means she has to now start process of again of getting a passport for the newborn, right? I hope you get where I'm going to.
I guess you
What
got it.
happens in a case where while waiting you get pregnant and a new child joins the picture? The new child is not in your application. What's going to happen?
No, it's simple. It's simple. The only thing that will happen that it may delay the application, but it's okay. If you watch out, when they are giving you that final letter to say go and submit your passport, the question they ask there is that has anything changed in your family setup, what you said before, either by
Mm,
new birth or you are no longer married
okay.
again.
Okay.
So it's what you do is just to once the child comes, do the child's
You
certificate,
declare it.
declare it. Even before they take their decision, inform them and upload the child.
Yes.
They will add the child to your application.
Okay. Thank
So
you. Thank you so much.
that's several ways.
Um, and White, yes, I'm going to share his contact with you. she's asking a question about Saskatchewan as a, she's coming as a farm worker. I really don't understand your question, hand white, but I know, yes, that's another thing I know they accept people for. I know someone who came here as a farmer or as as an agricultural teacher. I know there's this thing about farming and
Yeah, let
agriculture.
me quickly speak on that. That's one of the secret most people don't know. And the only challenge we have back home is that how do we certify some of those skills? If you watch out most of those rural things, I'm telling you, mid quarter, we have a chance over somebody who is a graduate.
Hmm.
Carpentry, all those handwork, all those farm worker,
Truck driver.
yeah, all those truck driver exactly. But now back home, you could drive the truck, but do you have a way of certifying that yes, you went through a school that gives you a
Mhm.
certificate? I know back growing up in Warri, for instance, there's a place where they do cut meat and all that. I see a lot of people there. All the things they know there is just by attachment, by experience. But they don't go to a school where you can have a certificate to show that yes. So, but in Canada, once you are applying, they will say, show us the
A
certificate
proof.
or the proof that you
About
came.
that, sir. About that, I one thing I advise, or one thing in my own little opinion is that if there is an association, be part of that association. This is not the time you say, no, I don't want to join Meat Sellers Association of Nigeria. Be part of that association so that when the time comes, they can maybe give you like a certificate or something. Thank you so much for clearing that up. How many months? We're rounding up. We have just few minutes more. How many months proof of funds is required to show for PR application? I think it's about 3 months, right?
Okay, yeah. So let me clarify again.
Okay.
It's only Saskatchewan that will say that I've seen my experience that before you even submit your application,
Money must be
money
there.
must
I
be
don't
there
understand.
for three
Yes,
months.
yes.
But for other provinces like Manitoba, no.
Mm-hmm.
When they say proof of fund, can you show it? You just go and get fees deposit to show it. That will be okay. Federal Express entry, when you say proof of fund, you even when you don't have it, you can express. Somebody could dash you. You could explain that somebody you're having a dash from a close relative, they show it and all that. That's whatever. But in study permit application is not the same way. What they are
Mm,
looking for is an ability to meet up with that obligation. And that's why an account that has not seen 2 million before, 3 months before application, they are seeing 5 million, 20 million.
mm,
I will question it that this is
mm.
strange, unusual inflow. It's like you are arranging because you are applying. So if there's a way, if that is a situation, there are ways to go about that to minimize what the officer is looking for. So that's what I can speak on proof of funds.
Thank you. So I think we're going to take the last question. The last question says, what are the chances of people who are currently unemployed but have more than 3 years work experience? Do they qualify to apply for PR? She's the person is currently not employed. So there's like a gap in the.
Correct. So what they look at most time, they will tell you how many years of work experience you have in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years. So if you are currently not employed, but you've had 3 years before, so when you are declaring, you declare only 3 years. But
Mhm.
again, let me clarify employment. I know this is difficult back home in Nigeria. Employment does not necessarily mean that, oh, you must be, being paid, get whatever. So what they are looking at is job, is your experience on whatever profession you claim you are doing. Voluntary work, if you're able to establish it, is part of the getting that experience. So I know one of the easiest ways that how can you be working, you are not being paid. That's true. But if you're able to establish that, look, I work in a family business. I have this experience. I do this even though I'm not paid directly, but there's a joint where they pay us and all that. They know that you can do that job. The only idea is, are you able to do this job like she Kemi rightly mentioned? That's what we look at here. It's not your certificate per se, but are you able to do that job? Yes, you could have that job experience without being paid. That is possible, provided you can establish it. So that's what I would say.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That reminds me, I think your what you said just brought up a question. What of people that are self-employed, sir? People that are
Correct.
not,
Yeah.
yes.
It's possible you could be that's what I'm saying. You are self-employed, you are doing the old job. The difference is that it's more difficult to establish that you are doing what you are doing as a self-employed because they know Nigeria, they can bring anything out. That's why they always very want to check and check. But Again, if you're able to document what you did, the number of hours you work, you are self-employed, you declare it. Of course, what they are looking for is the experience to do that job you are doing. If you're an electrician, you are self-employed. Of course, you are being paid. You may not be paying monthly once, but they show the contract they pay you once in a while, and the kind of service agreement you have with those that are paying you. Those are the way to demonstrate that you have that experience. So you could be self-employed. Yes, you can
Mm.
demonstrate it here.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, let me just put your email. Do you want me to put your email in the comment section here?
Yeah, what I would say again,
Mm-hmm.
again, that's one of the things with license. People go with those ghost consultants. It's true. One thing about the flip side of license consultant that we are expensive, because for me to have a session with you, for in my own case, you are going to pay minimum, like 150 Canadian dollars for 1 hour. Most time, what I do is that I will more than an hour until you clarify all your questions. I won't allow you to go, but you pay for that. So when you are calling or you are sending me an email, I mean, I receive a lot of that. So don't be surprised when I say, okay, before we can really talk, because I don't want to just jump into it. I want to understand your background, everything about you before I will say, yes, you qualify for this. So it will only cost you that amount to have that
Mm-hmm.
meeting with me. But yes, you are free to have a meeting. Have
Yeah,
my
it's good. It's good that you put it out here. These ideas. I'm sorry. Let me just quickly. I want to.
info at centerpieceimmigration.ca. I can
No.
shout it to you. I don't have do I have a place to shout here?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see the chat box, but I'm typing it here already. Info
Yeah,
at centerpiece immigration
immigration.ca.
dot ca. So I've put it in
One
the
word,
chat box, guys.
info at center.
Info at centerpieceimmigration.ca. So you can shoot him an email. He has stated that if you're going to, well, that's his job because he needs to understand the the peculiarities of your condition, of your situation, so he can advise appropriately. So if you need these services, I've put it in the chat box. Please chat him up or send him an email rather, and he will be able to. So, in your final words, sir, can you give us like a final word about I don't know
Yeah,
anything that people don't know about
yeah,
immigration that you
yeah.
think would be useful?
My final word is that I understand that because of fund, we want to patronize Quack, but I tell you, most people do that and it spoil their old chance. You don't want to be banned for 5 years. You are not 25 or 28. If they take another 5 years from your years, then the old chance is almost gone. So
Mm,
I will advise that no matter how it is, professionals they do that every day. They see what you don't see, seek them.
mm,
If you are serious, seek them. There are some ways to consult them. If you don't want them to do the whole thing, you don't have the money. You can say, you know what, this is what I have done. Just help me review this application. That way, they could charge you less than when they are doing exactly for you. So that would be question number one. Then question number two, if you want to come to Canada, if you are serious about it, don't dilly dally. Go for it immediately because time is of the essence. Things
mm-hmm.
change every day. One mark can change the whole thing. Just go for it. And I mean, that's exactly what I can say within this short time now. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that. And I always,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I cannot thank you enough for taking out the time to do this. It's especially on a Saturday. I understand how Saturdays are weekends in Canada is golden because you work all day of the week and then weekend you just want to have it to yourself. So I appreciate you for taking out the time to do this. Guys, like I said, I've dropped this email. Please chat him up if you need the services. And just thank him for me in the comment section. I really appreciate. I can't thank him enough. Just say thank you in the comment section and also reach out to him if you need his services. So thank you so much for joining us. And I'll call you, sir. Okay.
thank
So
you
I
so
can
much.
round this off. Thank you.
Bye bye.
So, guys, I hope this has been very impactful to you. I hope you've learned one or two things. I hope you've been able to get some of your immigration questions answered. Someone that asked about the pay slip, no, you do not need a pay slip for. In most cases, you will need a pay slip only if they find out that there's something that has been going amiss. Then they might ask for your pay slip. For someone who is a lecturing job for 8 years, and you have an MSc in business management, once again, your NOC should be your experience. That's Titilope Dixon now. Your NOC should be in the experiences you have. Take note of that, not the certificate you have. If you come here and then you want to switch, maybe get a more study in business management, that's fine. But for you to start your process for your application, you need a reference letter and NOC in what experience you have, okay? Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Please don't forget to like this video, share with friends who you know have answered their questions, okay? Turn on your post notifications for more videos to come. And till we meet again another time, I say bye for now.